Hours ago, we were watching Bedlam. Now here we are with Lincoln Riley set to be a USC Trojan. OU is 10-2, and frankly, this is honestly a dark day for OU football. And folks, we're here to talk about it with you. Whether you're here to laugh at our pain and our misery or commiserate with us, we'd love to see it. Welcome to the Scooter Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me, we got Jameson Maxwell here on a emergency podcast that neither of us wanted to do, but, it's just kind of a part of our obligation. So, Jameson, let's get this thing started. How did you find out, and what was your reaction?
I was not. I was on, all devices today. Usually with the NFL, I have my laptop up with all of the NFL Sunday ticket games, and then I got one on the TV. Usually I'm just kind of hammered into all devices, and usually news doesn't really get past me. And I was 5 minutes late to this, and I saw group text erupts, and that's never the way you want to see it. You never want to see it through group text. And, where they say something, and it's like, oh, your heart sinks, and you have to go check yourself. That is the worst, 20 seconds of checking if it's actually legitimate. Because in all honesty, I didn't think it was real because of all this hoopla of the LSU stuff.
I found out I was napping, and my fiance Darielle woke me up and was like, "Hey, important news to tell you."
Why did she wake you up?
She was like, "Lincoln Riley just is going to USC." I'm like, I literally the first thing I said was, "Don't wake me up for that. That can't be real." And she was like, "No, it's legit. It's out here." I'm like, "That's bullshit." And then I woke up, got my phone, and it was like, "Oh my god." And ever since then, I've been nonstop because this is Jameson. Let's put this in a historical context. The last time an OU football coach voluntarily left in a non-retire way was when Chuck Fairbanks went to the New England Patriots to become the head coach in 1976. The last time a OU head coach left for another college job was in 1946. Mm-hmm. So this is a massive, massive day in OU football history, and it's painful in a lot of ways, especially after what Lincoln said last night about the LSU job. Technically, didn't lie. It's painful given all of the optimism we had, entering the SEC, the momentum we'd had, and I know we'll get in way deep on recruiting. This is going to be a Cruden corner for the ages in the saddest way possible, like the red wedding of Cruden corners.
Yeah.
But the timing is tough. The team meeting's tough, and just in general, where does the OU's program go from here? What do you do next if you're wearing the Joe Castiglione fedora? Where do we go? What do we do?
Yeah, let's hop right into that because we got a lot of things that I want to hit on. We'll talk about coaching candidates right now. Talk a little bit about the why factor. Talk about, the reports like you mentioned of him having a brief, speech to his players and leaving. I probably got a different take of what a lot of people have on Twitter about that. Then a lot of other stuff. We're going to be covering a lot. This is going to be dense, and there's going to be a lot of passion in this. But let's just talk about the future. Where do we go next? Obviously, Bob Stoops is the interim head coach, but he is not the permanent option, obviously. This is just for the fact that OU doesn't want to show their cards. This is how I kind of take it. They don't want to give Alex Grinch the interim head coach right now because that would show their cards that maybe if they were going after a high-profile guy that they were leaning towards the Grinch, they wouldn't get the respect. They're trying to make sure that once the offseason hits, there's no, obvious answer of who this next coach is.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it in the past with coaching decisions where, a major figure from the past comes back in. Barry Alvarez did this at Wisconsin, for example. I believe after Bielema left, he coached a Rose Bowl. So yeah, anyone thinking Stoops is back for real, that's not a thing. But
that would be so weird. I mean, I saw some people were saying like, "Hey, what if Stoops just coached for a little bit until the perfect candidate popped up? He was like a stopgap." Who the hell would want to commit to play football for a coach that is an obvious stopgap? Like what? Bob Stoops is our coach, nobody wants to come play for him.
He literally has been retired. He's been selling tequila for years. There's no way to convince me that he's back for good. No, he's been retired. And he will stay retired, but all of this is about stopping the bleeding. It's about keeping the culture going, and it's about just holding on, because this early signing period has created such a mess with recruiting.
Oh my God.
And with trying to keep a team together when the season's still going on, and it just, I don't even know what's going on. But
the transfer guy like Stoops is to be our friend.
Exactly. A guy like Bob Stoops is the perfect guy you need, though, because he'll keep things going. He's dedicated to this program, and he'll obviously do. I think he'll do a good job. But again, it's for an exhibition game that doesn't matter. The Alamo Bowl, the whatever bowl we're going to get sent to, those don't really matter. So, man, it's insane having Stoops back. It's kind of fun. I don't even know if you could call it a silver lining. It's like I don't know, more like a nickel, or just other poor form of metal lining. But yeah, I don't know.
I know this is not too relatable, but I just had this thought and it just made me chuckle. So it's nice to find the laughing times in this tough time. Back in elementary school, and you're playing basketball or football with a team that's not that competitive, and your coach doesn't show up, and one of the dads from the stands has to come in and be your coach for that game. That is legitimately what is happening here. One of the dads of the OU football players is having to step in and be the coach. This is elementary stuff right here.
Here's a real question: is he going to shave the goatee?
No, he can't. No, there's no chance, because if he shaves it, there's going to be too much speculation, and OU loves speculation. There's no doubt that if he shaves, Bob's back to coaching. Bob, what do you know? No, Bob's going to stay retired. Bob. This is very, very temporary.
Which he should. Just have fun with it, Bob. Mm-hmm. Go have a margarita in San Antonio at the Riverwalk before the game, and
that's exactly what he should do.
He should coach it in a Hawaiian shirt. He should. No matter where we are.
I don't see why there's anything problem with that. I would have no problem with that. I'm sure there'd be some people, but I mean, good for him. As long as the players are getting behind Bob, I think that's the big thing, because a culture right now in this game is very key to see if, these players want to stick around for a bit, because there's going to be a lot of people that leave in the transfer portal. And I mean, we'll get into that later, but I really want to hit first, since we're talking about coaching, kind of a coaching ladder of replacements, because that's kind of what everyone's thinking. And I'll throw out some names, and I'll go in order of what I would want the most as a replacement. I'm kind of torn between my number 1 and 2, and then my number 3 is what I'd want the most, but I just don't think is realistic. So number 1, what about Shane Beamer coming back?
Beamer coming back, not a bad idea. I would wonder if Virginia Tech is a better, higher on his list personally, in terms of accessibility, in terms of, personally, I don't think I would want to dive in with an OU. If you're out of South Carolina where there's already a little stress, Va Tech's also stressful too. So Beamer, I think he's low on our list too, just because of the experience. Mm-hmm. I would have him low on mine.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just thinking of young up and coming, because I want to take a swing on this coach, and I want to take, on a good person that players can get behind. And that's something that we've seen in Beamer. I obviously know that he has a lot to prove, and he might not be this, superstar coaching hire that we're looking for. But to be completely honest with you, there's just not that many out there that are in jobs right now that are easily pried away. There's, talk about Fickle just signed a huge extension. Talk about Franklin just signed a mega extension. Those are the 2 guys you'd think of that you could pry away, but that's a whole lot of money. You don't think that they would be making those if they weren't thinking about staying. The name that was my number 3 that I would really like to see if we could just make just a lot of money, a Godfather offer. What do you think of Mario Cristobal?
Cristobal would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he has issues with coaching and just across the board in terms of like he gets trap gamed a lot. I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of upside, but I mean there are issues. But again, like at this point in the coaching search, you know, everyone has issues. So Cristobal, I it'd be tough to convince him to leave Oregon, but
Because he's not
I
a
don't know.
West Coast guy.
I'm lukewarm on him.
He's from the South, right? So like it's not like he's like some people are like hold true to the region. Obviously, Lincoln Riley wasn't holding true to the region, being a small town guy going to LA, but that's amidst the point. I feel like he can be pried away, but like I still don't think that's realistic. I think that he is the most gettable. He's not gettable, but the most gettable coach that I like the most in college football right now. Because everyone else is at a much better job than us or is locked into a very long contract.
Yeah, my thing is I don't know how the hierarchy of like good jobs work in OU. Like right now it's a disaster because you have to pick up what Lincoln left, which is
you're right. You're right. I didn't think about, it is with all of these decommitments, it is going to be so much work that even if the move from Oregon to Oklahoma is a decent step up, that is absolutely a lot. And not to relate it to the Thunder, but it honestly makes you think like this is going to be a clear rebuild for a little bit. We're obviously going to be very successful. This isn't like the pros, but it's going to be very hard to get a high prestigious coach, unless we throw so much money at them that they want to leave their already good job.
Well, I mean, not only that, but if you've paid attention to Cruden Corner and everything, obviously you have, as you have been giving them. But so many of OU's battles have been with USC. That screws us on multiple levels with 5 stars.
They're all gone. They're all gone.
Brandon Ennis, for example, is apparently forecasted to USC as well. Just
I think that whole quad of Malachi Nelson obviously being at the helm of it, gone, and then his 2 other teammates, Mekhi Lemon and DeAndre Moore gone. So that's the 3 5-star wide receivers and 5-star quarterback. Right. And, so Brandon Ennis is from Florida too. Like this isn't he's not one of the California kids. Like those are the 3 other kids that haven't said anything yet.
Exactly.
And he's already decommitted and, is tweeting about Florida. Talk about 2022, that's Raleek Brown was already a guy that we were scared we were just going to lose to USC because he has a kid in California. There is 0 doubt in my mind he's going to USC. That you can almost lock that in now.
Yeah,
that Lincoln Riley is USC's coach. He's staying with his family, staying with his kid, and he's going to play for the head coach that he committed to. It's honestly, Raleek Brown is probably over the moon with this decision because it finally helped him like have a sense of like feeling okay with what he's doing. And then there's going to be a lot of other people in 2022 that were promised. You saw reports from people that, OU experts that have talked to recruits, and they're either pissed or stunned or crying. Lincoln promised them a lot, and obviously they feel very betrayed, and they deserve to feel betrayed because a lot of promises weren't kept.
Yeah. I mean, agreed, and we'll go a little bit more in depth on this later. Again, not a super structured pod right now.
So let's go back to the coaching. Let's go back to the coaching. Okay, next number two for me, and then I'll let you get it because I hinted at number 2 and I haven't get to say it. Then I want you to take over. Give me some names. So my number 2. What about Mark Stoops?
I like Mark Stoops quite a bit. Obviously built at Kentucky, which is hard to do at a basketball school. Have that family connection as well. So I would feel, I can't believe I'm even saying this about an Oklahoma position, but after what happened today, I would imagine not much of a flight risk because don't see him jumping into the NFL. Doesn't seem like an NFL guy at all. And I don't know, could be a solid fit. It's not the sexiest hire, but I think it does the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who else you got? Because I got a couple more names, but I want to hear from you. What are you thinking? Who's at the top of your list if you'd like to look into at least?
Well, first of all, Chris Kleiman, top tier head coach.
Shut up.
I will shut up.
Soft as tissue paper.
Yeah, no. After watching that Texas game, I'm very out on Kleiman in terms of OU's coach. Because we'll just randomly run the Wildcat into a giant pile 40 times a game. So that's great.
Run the ball more, Lincoln. Be careful what you wish for.
Look, honestly, man, I really think he was checked out, since Baylor, which is it just we'll get into that later. But in terms of guys I like, Aranda's up there. I like Aranda a lot. I might be a tough get. I don't really know where he's at with LSU right now. I know Billy Napier is a lock basically at Florida, so he's probably hard to get. Sonny Dykes, who is likely to be the TCU head coach, he's not a bad option either. Honestly, at this stage, I am so shell-shocked, and we're at the stage in the coaching carousel where OU is behind already. Because there you go. We actually have a comment here. David asked about Josh Heupel. I'm kind of out. I'm out on Heupel.
I don't know how that name's getting thrown around on Twitter and some people, because Josh Heupel, even if we did want him, this dude hates us. He hates our guts. Like, he does not respect this OU team anymore. And if we come crawling back and like, Josh, would you like the head coaching position? He's like, no, it kind of sucks that you're in this position right now, right? You seem a little bit desperate. I feel like ever since the offensive coordinator situation, I feel like there's a little bit of bad blood there, and it just doesn't seem like it's a fit at all. There's too many things that are going on, and already a too stressful time to try to get over all of that drama.
I feel like a lot of the Heupel name, the name being floated around, primarily is by people who may not know the intricacies of the bad blood there. Just more national people, which I get.
Yeah,
not everyone really knows. Not everyone knows that that's a thing, but I don't see Heupel working on either end of things just because of the tense nature of that. And plus, let's be honest, Tennessee's a good job. I don't think there's too much to overcome.
And one thing on the Sonny Dykes before I forget about that. So that was thrown out by some verified person on Twitter, but then the Dallas Morning News came out and said that that's not going to happen. They're not looking at that. So I think we can throw that one out. Talking about other old OU relations, a lot of people and former players have been talking about Venables. And some people have been buying into that. My take is I'm a little iffy on Venables, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One, there's another kind of, I don't know how much bad blood there still is, but obviously he was forced out of OU, and that was kind of an ugly situation. And then two, I feel like at his age, and I don't have the details behind the scenes with everything, but whenever you are 50 years old and you have been a very successful offensive or defensive coordinator in college football, but have not landed a head coaching job after that, I get nervous that there's either a skeleton in the closet or there's like an Eric Bieniemy thing of the Kansas City Chiefs where he just doesn't have that it factor to be a head coach that a lot of people are turned away on. Whenever he hasn't made that jump, even though he's been getting handsomely paid by Clemson, makes me scared that there's something under the bed that we don't know about him. Yeah,
and I mean, here's the thing. For as much stock as people put into the, just a coordinator guy type of coach, someone's gonna you don't take that pay cut. You don't just not take on a head coaching position because you want to. There's something there usually. So I don't know if it's quite as if it's like a well-known thing. Like the Bieniemy thing is kind of a well-known buzz, but who knows? Who knows with Venables? Because at this point, someone would have dropped the bag for him.
I completely agree. Because if he was a high character, a good interview, and a successful lineage where he's, coached a lot of great NFL players, that clout can get you really far in college football, even if you aren't that like great of a coach. That can at least get you a little bit. And I'm just a little bit nervous there. It just, like I said, I don't have information of how he is or if he does have a skeleton in the closet. It's just I'm kind of reading in between the lines here.
Yeah. Here's a Cliff wild
Kingsbury.
Name. Cliff Kingsbury, I'm out on. I know he's in it. I know he's done well with the Cardinals, but I don't know. I'm just kind of out on Cliff.
Adam Schefter dropping it and then showing it, the next tweet, a picture of him in his massive mansion in the mountains just chilling. I think it was his draft night picture, pretty much discounting his own report. I think OU is just going to throw out a bunch of big names, and that's just, it's you don't know how many things are mutual versus one-sided. OU's looking into Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, how many times people were looking into Bob Stoops? How many people were looking into Urban Meyer? Those people will throw out names just to throw out names.
By the way, USC officially announced Lincoln a couple minutes ago. So,
oh wow, that moved fast.
That's great. So,
what else you got for me? What other coach names?
Well, if we want to get weird, Lane Kiffin. I'm out on Lane. Really though, I'm out on Lane. We've seen his inability to perform in a high level job. USC, Tennessee, the Raiders. I don't think that's a good fit at all. It'd be fun because you have the whole Barry Switzer, king of shit talk back, but I don't know if that works. Mike Leach, also no, would be a fun gimmick, but you can't really take him. You can't take it to the mountaintop. Mark Mangino.
He was looking pretty nice at the reunion. I'll tell you that much.
Bring Mark Mangino back. Let's get weird with it. He'll start yelling mildly racist things at his players. And I'm kidding. That
horrible.
That is quite literally the worst hire that could happen.
So
do not do that.
I know nothing about this guy, but if you think about college football as a whole, and you think about overachieving programs or sides of the ball right now, you think of like overachieving programs, you think of like Cincinnati's having a good year, and we already kind of stomped that head coach that we could steal. Louisiana's been doing pretty recently. Obviously, that's lost. But you think of like the most, not surprising, but dominant unit this year is Georgia's defense. And you're like, maybe we can, take a book out of, mini coaching surface, chapters, and say, hey, we're going to go take this young defensive coordinator from Georgia and see what he has. Dan Lanning is their defensive coordinator. He's 35 years old, but I know nothing about him. And he hasn't been there for that long. So I just really don't see that either. I'm having trouble finding like examples right now in this college football season of overachieving coaches or programs that are available for a steal of a head coach.
I just flipped open an ESPN Plus article here from I'm not trying to rip poor Adam Rittenberg, but he just suggested Jay Norvell for the OU head coaching position, and that's disgusting. That is the worst suggestion I've heard so far.
That would be a little weird, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that just feel weird? I don't like that. Just left a really sour taste in my mouth. I don't like that.
Went to Texas after we got rid of him. No, I hate it.
It's just people are just looking right now for anyone who has connections to OU. But here's the great thing about this. Having connections to OU is great. But whenever we're a program like this, that we're one of the perennial blue bloods, and I understand we're going to go through kind of a tough period for the next couple of years.
Justin Fuente.
Yeah, Justin Fuente just got relieved of his job and comes to Oklahoma and an upgrade. Sounds like a super idea. But we don't have to take a guy that used to be an OU quarterback, used to be on the OU's coaching staff. We don't have to take that. We can go and try to get other people. We don't have to be stuck to our own pipeline. We don't have to have a Bob Stoops connection, even though I think Mark Stoops is a stellar coach and I'd be very happy with it. And it would just be a plus, but we don't have to stick to our guns here.
No, true. And, as I suggested on Twitter, we should go outside of the box maybe and see if we could hire Jose Mourinho from Roma as sort of a reverse Ted Lasso situation where you bring an asshole in who just yells at him every time, knows nothing about the sport, and makes everyone's life worse.
And it might be better because we've been too buddy and too nice at OU. There's some people saying Lincoln's been too nice and the culture's been bad. People be getting arrested under his time and, getting caught with weed and missing bowl games and unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And Lincoln's too nice. Yes, obviously he's too nice. Everyone has their faults, but I feel it's a little bit of revisionist history right now. Now that Lincoln's gone, everyone's trying to find their small little angle of this is the wonderful thing of why Lincoln's gone, and this is why it can be good. Don't shoot me all these like sunsets and rainbows and all of these wonderful things. Like, this is a bad time. It's okay to be dark for a little bit. Finding the silver lining of this is going to be hard, and I'm not buying that at all. I understand that we've had our flaws with Lincoln as coach, and he had some things where he needs to kind of be more of an attitude guy, but that can be fixed with assistant coaches. A lot of head coaches in football and just coaches across like just every sport, there's a good cop, bad cop mentality within coaching rooms. You have to have a good cop on a team, or else people are not going to buy in and feel united with each other. But there also has to be a bad cop that keeps people accountable and gets them into shape when they need to be. So it's not like Lincoln has to be the bad cop, or the head coach has to be the bad cop. I'm not really buying into that.
Well, that's why you have Schmitty around.
Exactly.
The old OU, athletic trainer, because those type of guys, galvanize you. You have to have the guys, and really strength and conditioning coach right there. That's perfect for that athletic trainer. What am I saying? You need that edge though. You need the guy to come in and chew your ass out, and then you also need a couple of the nice guy coaches. You and I have played sports. You know how the blend works. That's how you have a good staff. Because if you trend too far on one side, then you get delusional and say that, oh, everything's fine. We're close. Winning games is hard. And in that case, nothing gets fixed. And I mean, this whole season has been let's be honest, has been a shit show outside of the 10-2 record. And I think a lot of that is on Lincoln Riley's leadership ability. However, it was fixable. Fixable. A lot of these frustrations, all things considered, the alternative that we are in right now is absolutely the worst situation we're in. So, it is. I don't want to call it as dark as the 90s, because it's not. But it's certainly the most uncertain we've been since we fired. I don't know. It's the most uncertain we've been since we hired Stoops. We've never had a true coaching search since '99. We were 4. So this is for a program that has had their hallmark be consistency, be constant success, even if they haven't reached that pinnacle. To be thrown into the most turmoil we've had, since John Blake was the head coach, it's a gut punch. And, I'll say this. OU was a great program before Lincoln Riley. It will stand after him. Maybe this window's closed. Maybe it's not. But at the end of the day, unlike maybe some of the players on this team, we support this team because of it's the University of Oklahoma, because of the success, because of the tradition, because of what we know it is. And the sun will shine again, and we'll get even if this guy isn't the right guy, it will come back around. And at the same time, this is disaster mode as well, because it's the 90s, but maybe not. We can avoid the Gary Gibbs hire here.
I really hope so.
Yeah, and that's why you don't do internal. Last thing in the world you need to do right now is go with Grinch. I think Grinch is,
and that is a huge thing. But I want to talk about Grinch after. Let's kind of acknowledge some of the comments too. Jake and Andrew talking about Gary Patterson. Another thing where if a coach cannot get it at a lesser program, what makes you think they'll get it at a bigger program?
More resources.
I mean,
look, Gary is not the fit because he's kind of old. He's on his way out. I have the classic Bob Stoops sort of thing where they're, towards the end of Stoops' tenure, they're like, hey, he might retire at any time, and Gary might be the same way. So I'm obviously out on Patterson, but Jake and Wilson, Andrew, are TCU guys. So.
Gotcha. What about what Joe said? Yeah, let's talk about, was Riley's decision made as soon as Helton got the boot? What do you make of his personal leave in hindsight? So I'm guessing, are you referencing, so Clay Helton getting the boot, and obviously there was a lot there, and the USC situation stayed really quiet. Here, I really don't think that it could go back as far as that. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Obviously, it could. People are constantly, just think about you as just a normal human being. You're planning out your life in the next couple of months. You're thinking about what you're doing in the future. If you're a high profile person where there's millions on the line, you're going to be going up every single avenue you can to see what can I put myself in the best decision for my future, especially as a young, ambitious person is in Lincoln. So obviously there's a lot of thoughts going through his head, but I wouldn't think any action started to come probably until all this, this LSU smoke started coming. Because there was some people talking some kind of smoke, but it wasn't too legitimate. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln let all of this LSU stuff be used as kind of a negotiation tactic for the USC thing. USC did not want this to get out at all because they didn't want to have a competition between OU and LSU publicly too much to where they would get in a bidding war. Lincoln knew that when the grand scheme of things, that USC was going to be the best fit for him because he did not like the move to the SEC for the Sooners. And there's so much more opportunity in the recruiting landscape of California. And he's recruited California very well. So I don't think it's been too long, but I bet you it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, and take it as you will because it's dumb, message board stuff, but I have seen some floating stuff about how Lincoln may have been Los Angeles, as in stuff from that bye week.
Talking about whenever he didn't show up to the press conference.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, there was the flu going around at that time. It was pretty prominent within the program those 2 weeks. And the chances that Lincoln got the flu is pretty high because he's a guy who's gotten sick a lot in the past with little bugs here and there. You see it in people. I know we're really getting in the weeds here, guys, but people who get common colds or a little sick or the sniffles every once in a while, they get that more often than other people. Some people are just more susceptible to those little bugs, and people, and you might be one of them, where it's just, I feel like I get the flu or get, a virus way easier than other people. And Lincoln's shown that he does get sick a little bit more often. So I would like to kind of buy into it. And there is no chance, I think, that he could have gone to USC. But in today's day and age, why would Lincoln even need to go to California to have this meeting? Can he not just do it all virtual? There's plenty of money, Today's, we can do it all on Zoom. Lincoln wouldn't need to go to California to help with an interview or make a decision. The people interviewing him know everything that Lincoln is, and they want him, obviously. A lot of programs want him, and it's all about Lincoln making his decision, and he wouldn't need to fly out to California to kind of make his decision that way. I just can't buy that in today's day and age. You can make a big decision in your life without having to go out and interview in person.
Yeah, Joe also doesn't buy the LA sighting, and again, I was just kind of throwing it out there. So since we've been potting, OU just released a couple statements from Joseph Faraz, Joe Castiglione, Lincoln, and Bob. Couple just kind of key points here from Lincoln Riley. Leaving OU is probably the most difficult decision of my life. OU is one of the best college football programs in the country, and it has been forever. That is not going to change. It's not going to change in the SEC. It's not going to change with another head coach. It stood the test of time, and it's going to continue to do so. This was a personal decision solely based on my willingness to go take on a new challenge, and I felt like it was the right opportunity for me and my family to do so. We'll leave here with fond memories. It will be very difficult to say goodbye to Norman, but it will always be part of our family. You named your dogs Boomer and Sooner. Of course it is. Our history. I'll be a Sooner fan as long as I live. Screw you. A fan of this state, this university, and the people here. I love them all very much. So that's Lincoln. Bob Stoops just said, hey, I'm back.
Got another decommit too from Trayon Webb out of the 2023 class, the near 5-star running back. The whole 2023 class is just going to go in shambles. We'll hit that at the end of the episode because there'll probably be a lot more probably in the next couple minutes, to be honest.
It's just hemorrhaging.
Yeah, I think we hit it, but I kind of want to hit on the why factor of why Lincoln would make this move. And I think clearly that USC is a better job than Oklahoma as a college football program. I know a lot of people think that they're quite even, but I think that USC is a step above, and it's solely based on location for me. And I know that this is an argument. We can have a good back and forth on this one, Bobby, but here's my thing on this. Why I think USC is a better job and why I understand what Lincoln did. He's looking out for himself and he's doing what he thinks is best for himself, which I think he made the right decision for himself. And I'm not going to hold it against him and hold some kind of like, snake thing and all this Kevin Durant stuff. He did not go to the team that betrayed and, that just beat you and just flipped and went to a super team. Lincoln is not going to a super team of USC. He's going to a program where it's going to take a lot of work for him to do. And it's not going to be like he just took the offensive coordinator job at Alabama. That is what Kevin Durant did. He took the offensive coordinator job at Alabama to the head coach, Steph Curry, of Nick Saban. But that's not what's happening here. He went to USC, who's a team that is looked miserable, obviously, this season. They have a lot of culture things going around. Their front office has been in shambles and coaching staff and all that stuff. But what they have over there is the West Coast. They have an absolutely beautiful weather. They have a large state with plenty of good recruits. And all of these, these superstars of these next two recruiting class that Lincoln has, are guys that are from Southern Cal as well, that he knows that if he moves out there, he's going to take them with him. He feels very confident, that those guys that he would have had at Oklahoma, he would have had at Southern California. And I can guarantee you he's going to be able to pick up more people over there in California that are going to commit to USC anyways, that he would never have been able to have the chance in Oklahoma. The recruiting now with Oklahoma moving to the SEC is going to be helpful, but the competition between Texas schools and, the southeast of like Florida and Georgia and Alabama and all that in the SEC conference is real. But in West, like I said, proximity to home is very, very, very important to where Lincoln is not going to have as much trouble recruiting and losing battles in the grand scheme of things. This is an upgrade of recruiting. And if Lincoln believes in himself and how he recruits, which he should be, because he's done really dang well, like really dang good since he's been at Oklahoma, he's going to turn that program into essentially what OU skill-wise has been, and hopefully, play in a little bit easier division and a better landscape around him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think hands down the recruiting is going to be a better position for him because USC is a sleeping giant. They are a blue blood. They have a ton of national championships, most of them from the 30s, but whatever. But more importantly for recruiting, they have NFL draft picks out the wazoo. I'm like incomparably good. And let's face it, Cal, UCLA, Stanford, they can't match up to USC whatsoever. In the recruiting standpoint, the West Coast is wide open for Lincoln, and that is just that's going to be crucial for him. Do
you think Lincoln made a good decision? That's kind of what I'm getting at here, because I know a lot of people think this is a bad decision from him, but that's very rose-tinted glasses they're looking through. I'm trying to be – I don't really let emotion take me as much in these kind of big things. I've always been a very, practical in person and look kind of at the details before letting my emotions take me. But looking at this from your perspective, because you obviously have a much different perspective than me, do you think that this is a lateral move or an upwards move or downward move?
Well, and that's what makes our podcast dynamic fun, is because I'm more emotional, you're logical, the classic, divide there. But I think it's more complicated than a black and white situation. I don't think it is a bigger risk. You are having to hop back into a USC program that, you are building, maybe not from scratch, but this is a program and a team that has not done well, and that has struggled to get back on that stage, with guys like Steve Sarkisian and, Clay Helton, who, whatever, lukewarm hires for sure. But, it's tricky because I think he had he's leaving a really good, assured thing at Oklahoma. He could have stayed here and stacked cash. He would have been fine, and then go to the NFL whenever he's ready. So it really depends on what he wants to do. If his end goal is the NFL, bad move. You can do that whenever you want. Wait for Mike McCarthy's ass to get fired in Dallas, and there you go. You're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
But he
If
could
he's
still
wanting,
do that
he
anytime.
could. He could. But my thing is, like, why risk it and leave this thing you have pre-built ready to go, to just try to start all over at USC? So that's what I'm saying is, like, if your end game is the NFL, then yeah. But if you're trying to build something that's truly for yourself, that was not inherited by Bob Stoops, that is truly yours, and you want to make your mark on a major blue blood program, then it's not a bad move. It's a good move, because he'll have all the resources available to him. He'll have endless recruits out in California. He has the potential to do that Pete Carroll lockdown, the Golden State lockdown that he had in the mid 2000s. That could be Lincoln. He's that good. So it's complicated because if you want to keep winning championships, if you want to keep doing really good stuff, you can do that at OU. But if you want to build something at USC, want to keep having the same caliber schedules you have, because I guarantee you'll be able to roll through the garbage Pac-12 where your only challenge is Utah and Chip Kelly's UCLA team, I guess. Yeah, he'll be fine out in the Pac-12, but in terms of national championships and stuff, I don't know. I don't know if. I think you're about even. I think you're about even there because the SEC curve will be tough, and I'll tell you this: if he's not up for that challenge, if he was truly not up for the SEC challenge, then we don't want him. We don't want someone who doesn't want to be here. I think that's something that's very certain about OU, and it sucks. But if you want to back down and go to go to the Pac-12 and have all these, just beat Oregon State and those likes, then hey, go for it, whatever. But if that was truly a part of his decision making, then get out of here. Whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't want you.
I agree with that, but let's read. We're going to kind of speculate a little bit here. So whenever I hear him saying, I don't like the move to the SEC, that makes me think he doesn't feel very confident in Oklahoma's ability to succeed in the SEC. And that's obviously, pointing at him, a finger at himself and obviously the coaching staff around him. We've seen that him at OU has had a very large struggle of, being the big boss and making the decision of firing people and telling, Alex Grinch, no, Roy Manning can't be the cornerbacks coach if he's never played cornerback nor even coached cornerbacks before. And obviously that's burned him in the past. Talk about Mike Stoops, how long it took him to fire him because he was so nervous about all of that. Like Austin just said in the chat right there, it was his first head coaching job. He's learned a lot right now. And I think he kind of maybe saw the writing on the wall that I don't want to go to the SEC because I don't know if the program around me is good enough. And I don't have the heart to just completely scrap everything and start back. And I'd rather just go to the Pac-12 where I can just go there, have better players come play for me, and I can start from scratch over there and not have to deal with the SEC. I mean, that could be a thought process.
I think it is. It's impossible not to. Having more recruiting at your fingertips and less competition, that's not that bad. And it's not what I thought would happen with the SEC move at all. But I guess it is. And I think that's what makes it what makes today really truly so hard. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud that all OU fans have been thinking and don't want to hear, but it's the truth, is what if OU isn't really that program? What if the USCs and the Alabamas, Georgias, etc.'s, what if we truly are just a step below?
We are. Clearly.
And I think today was a damning, very brutal declaration that I think you might be right. And that sucks. That is hard to feel and that's hard to hear. And I'll say this. I don't know if it I'm not saying it can't ever be that again. Alabama was in the shitter before Nick Saban showed up. They were their last bowl game before Saban showed up was the Independence Bowl against OSU. So like you can revive a program, with enough money and enough talent and the right guy, and if everything clicks, it clicks. But where OU is right now, we just had a guy lose to we just lost a guy to a garbage USC team, and that's really tough. That is really tough.
That's geography is huge through sports. It is absolutely huge. I hate to keep on bringing professional sports, but you see it. People like to go to the coast. People like to go where there's a lot of talent around them. And in college football, in Oklahoma, it's just the recruiting is like, the players around you just don't have as many chances to succeed. You need good players around you, and you need a lot of money. And that's why I don't think OU is going to take a drop too much, because there's so much donor money around, with all of the oil, situation, that stuff, to where they're still going to push hard. I don't think a Nebraska collapse is, going to happen. But we are clearly not as big as a team that has their own recruiting pipeline that is like a USC, like an Alabama, like a Georgia, that also has money at the same time. They got 2 out of 2, and we honestly have probably 1.5 because we recruit Texas so well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Texas thing is obviously the biggest thing you have going for it in the battle to not be Nebraska. But look, let's move on from this and kind of talk about what happens next. Obviously, the coaching search will continue, but in the immediate future, there are 2 things we have to focus on: recruiting and the transfer portal. I gotta ask, what impact does this have on current OU players leaving OU? Not just to other programs, but potentially to USC. We saw a very cryptic tweet from Caleb Williams where he, just said basically, I'm happy for Lincoln Riley and more to come later. How much do you buy into a mass exodus of current OU guys? And especially that weird kind of USC caveat of, maybe poaching a lot of the current Sooners.
I'll put my foot down on this. I really do think Caleb Williams is going to go to USC. I understand that, his family's kind of set up base here in Oklahoma, but all that shows is they support their son and whatever he, his journey is, and they have the ability to kind of pick up shop and go where he needs to be. And this is why I say I think Caleb Williams is gone to follow Lincoln Riley. This guy is extremely loyal to Lincoln. Whenever we were recruiting in that cycle of 2021, he was a very high-end 5-star. Like he grew in the rankings as it went on, but he was still a 5-star early in the process, in his sophomore year whenever we were starting to look at them. And we had Brock Vandegrift as the number 1 on our board. And Brock Vandegrift ended up committing to us. But Caleb Williams never stopped talking to us, never even was really looking at he was looking at other schools, but he still had OU as his number 1, and he was still really trying to get into this class. And that's how much he liked Lincoln Riley. And even though there was a 5-star quarterback also committed to this class, he was staying in communication. And as soon as Brock left, Caleb was in. And I just think there's that loyalty right there of that bond between the two that I think is much stronger than the bond he has to Oklahoma as a program.
Yeah, and that's the very unfortunate truth about a lot of these recruits is they were here for Lincoln Riley. They're here for the offense that he had. And unless we get some sort of stellar offensive or some sort of stellar head coach that clicks with the guys we have in here, and help, that might not even be enough. I see a lot of people, possibly doing that. And Caleb Williams making that move to USC, it checks every box. It makes a lot of sense. It would be crushing because I don't think OU did anything necessarily wrong this year. We had issues. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's it was some sort of dumpster fire. It wasn't Texas. We had 2 losses. And I think that's the thing that's the toughest thing for me to swallow is, it was a step down. We didn't win the Big 12. We didn't even make the championship game. But for the program to be in the position it is right now, is just it's really upsetting. It's really tough, and to have a guy like Caleb Williams possibly be out, and it, this is what this is what you want. If you want everyone to be able to do whatever they want and transfer wherever they want on a whim, here you go. Everyone, if your head coach moves, everyone else can go too. So it's a flawed system, much like everything the NCAA has really kind of done with NIL and the transfer portal. There aren't nearly enough regulations because, I mean, dude, just imagine if if this was the NFL and you could just flip from coach to coach and then your players just leave with no restrictions. It's completely untethered. I don't know. I'm not trying to say let's give these poor unpaid people less freedoms, but there has to be a better system in place. And I don't know what it is. Because it's ridiculous. It's just tough that one guy can completely just kill a program. But that's sports, baby. That's capitalism. Welcome to America.
Yeah, I think
I got political.
Caleb Williams.
Damn it.
Well, yeah, here you go. I think Caleb Williams leaving opens up, if he does leave, a lot of things that we need to talk about this quarterback position moving forward. Because after Caleb, is Spencer Rattler. we can really speculate there. But is there a possibility if Caleb leaves, Spencer's like, you know what? I'll play one more year at Oklahoma.
Maybe his beef would be with Lincoln, not with OU. Well, I mean,
no,
it would be with the OU fans.
It wouldn't make any sense why he would stay, obviously.
It's Rucker time, baby.
But after that, yeah, like you said, it's Ralph Rucker. Like golly, we need to get a high-end, transfer quarterback or we're in some trouble because we do not have a commit coming into this next class because Lincoln Riley goes the every other year quarterback idea where 2022, he doesn't take a quarterback commit. And then 2023, he has already got his guy. But guess what? That guy's going to probably commit to USC now. And we're not going to have a quarterback commit at all in 2022 and 2023. And we're going to maybe lose our current QB1, definitely lose our QB2 and Spencer Rattler. So we're going to have to start scouring the quarterbacks in the transfer portal and start recruiting current athletes because that's all we got. Next season could be scary if we don't hit in the transfer portal because this is, I am also just assuming the Caleb Williams could stay. Like I said, his family's here. Maybe he's they've just built shop and they enjoy Oklahoma. Maybe there was a thing he saw behind the scenes where he wouldn't want to go with Lincoln, but I think he's too attached to Lincoln. That tweet that we're talking about, where he's got more to come. There's obviously any kind of announcement from anybody it scare me because it's probably negative. But we're gonna have to start thinking about quarterbacks across the nation now, Bobby, that aren't going to the pros, that are sophomores that can come in for 1 year before they go to the NFL.
Yeah, no, it's it's things are bad. Things are really, really bad. And the thing is, it's hard to even start to think about these guys because we don't even have a head coach, and it's time to go because we have, we have early signing day just 10 days away, and look, it's such a disaster, and I don't know if there's a good way for Lincoln Riley to leave, but he definitely screwed us here. He definitely the university gave him the keys to a damn Porsche, and he's just abandoning it on the side of the highway for a different one. And
but what if he would have left later, and these kids would have signed, and we'd have had to break all their letters that they signed, and then there's a whole lot of what Lincoln did what he had to do. If he knew he was leaving, don't just wait and do it later. Him leaving is what was best for him, and he left at a time. At least we get 10 days beforehand to try to extinguish some fires. Because if he would have left after they signed, that would have been so much anger. And there'd be some kids that would have thought about staying after these next 10 days and maybe will still sign that I guarantee you would have nothing to do with this program if that was the case.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if there is a good time because, if we're 10-0 when he allegedly first started talking to USC, that's not a good time to leave. would be a bad time to leave later. Like you said, would screw over all those kids and screw over USC, who can't sell them on that. So you're screwing your current, the kids who signed with your former employer, and you're screwing over your current employer. So it makes no sense.
Yes, it makes only sense to do it now for both sides, in all honesty.
And honestly, maybe kill the early signing at this point. It has thrown so much of college football off with like head coaching, where you have guys like axing their head coach midseason, and maybe I'm just being overreactionary at this point.
No,
probably.
I mean, there's a lot of coaches that have been talking about how it's a negative, because it kind of falls right into the bowl season and college conference championship season.
Yeah, I mean, if you aren't, you get an advantage if you don't make your conference championship, because you have a whole week to recruit that others don't. But I don't know. There's a lot of searching for answers today, and I don't think we have them. I don't know what you do. Who
else on this roster do you think could hit the transfer portal because of this? That's honestly a good question. Just from the offensive side of the ball is probably the big thing. Defense side of the ball maybe just a little bit. Offense is the thing to be concerned about. Just going down the line, Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, I think are very strong considerations to leave. Let's move to the running back position. Kennedy Brooks, is he good enough to leave and go to the pros, or do you think he would stay? What do you think? I think
Brooks is already probably gone, just kind of from his comments, before Bedlam, and then even after Bedlam, talking about one last time with the guys. Yeah, he seemed like he was gone. Running backs.
Eric Gray should stay because
hitting the portal again.
Yeah,
double portaling.
He wouldn't be able to, even though he could apply for a hardship and because of the coach leaving. But I think he would have beef with Lincoln that he didn't play him as much and didn't give him as many carries. And now with Kennedy Brooks leaving, he's the clear number one running back on this team. So I could see him staying. But wide receivers, guys like Jaden Hazelwood, Marvin Mims, I worry. I would definitely worry. I would hope Marvin Mims wouldn't leave, but Marvin Mims is a very bright kid. This is a guy that was considering Stanford before coming to OU. And in all honesty, I wouldn't see him having any problems leaving for a more academically prestigious school now that Lincoln's gone.
Go to a Stanford or something. That could be a solid fit, maybe.
Because he wasn't getting many targets here. So, there's obviously a disconnect. But, I could also see him staying just because he seems like a good kid and might be just a loyal person. But, I could see Jaden Hazelwood being out for sure because of just he thinks he's a WR1 and just didn't work out here. Just needs a fresh start and get one more year, then apply for the draft. I really think if the gong hit us, he hit the gong on us.
I didn't mean to hit the gong. I apologize for hitting the gong. It's right. I need a mouse because I keep having to scroll up to my trackpad, which is just total rookie stuff. Just on brand Schooner Pod disasters. But yeah, no, it's hard to think of anyone who isn't a total lock to stay at OU other than not Marvin Mims, other than Drake Stoops, because he ain't leaving. So it's you'd be hard pressed to find someone who is solid 100% OU. I guess Ethan Downs ain't leaving.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Ethan Downs and Drake Stoops. We're winning it all next year. I tell you.
I'm just going through all of their past recruits that we got. And there are some of the position coaches reeled in, as in Jamar Cain has done a hell of a job getting the edge rushers, kind of like a guy like Clayton Smith, how he reeled in last recruiting staff, that if he was to stay on this coaching staff, that it'd be hard pressed. I could see him not leaving. And, but Lincoln Riley is usually the kind of, the keystone that kind of helped people get pushed over the edge to commit to OU rather than other big time programs of our big recruits. And now that he's gone, that's the guy in their corner. This is their the players coach. Now that their friend's gone and they're sitting there with, the bad cops rather now that their good cops gone, why would they want to stay? They don't have that person in their corner anymore. Yeah. I can tell you for a fact that the way Grinch carries himself in practices and this speed D and this, I'm sure there's some players that don't like that and don't have a lot of respect for him. But the fact that Lincoln Riley was their friend and their players coach, that, they kept within it and they kept bought in. That's the positive of a good coach, good cop, bad cop situation. It doesn't all have to be tough, hard nosed to the ground. So losing a friend this could be a catastrophe, everybody, of losing players next year. Like, this team could be bad next year.
Well, people forget, like, Lincoln Riley was the reason our recruiting changed. He completely revolutionized it. Bob Stoops was still on a Nokia phone, doing just base Twitter stuff. Didn't really do any of that. And Lincoln was the charge that changed all of this. And it's really hard to just kind of think of where you go from there, because people also forget we're now replacing an offensive coordinator too. This team is maybe not a total reset, but it feels near total reset here. That's stressful. By the way, 3 p.m. Central will be a press conference with the Double Joes and Bob. So we'll see how that goes.
Is Lincoln gonna give a press? Do we have anything about him and USC anytime soon?
In terms of press conference, I believe he has a presser tomorrow. He's released statements. Just a standard, like USC has a good tradition and good facilities. Blah 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 blah.
So yeah, so some of the chat's kind of going in on hires and best possible hires. We hit on that a little bit earlier. Saw Joe talk about Venables. I was a little bit apprehensive about Venables because of, just like I said, being a 50-year-old assistant coach and still haven't made the jump to head coach makes me worry that there's some kind of skeleton in the closet, something we don't know, that maybe he just doesn't have that it factor to become a head coach, because he probably would have been it by now. Bobby, did you kind of hammer down who was kind of your dream pick out of just ever? If you could pick one person just out there, obviously that still has to be a sliver of realistic. Can't say like Nick Saban, but would you have a person that you're going for?
It is tricky because I love Billy Napier. If you listen to my comments on OU, Texas, Louisiana last year, I was big on Napier, and he's set to go to Florida, of course. No one, and that's the saddest thing, is no one really stands out to me. Campbell, I would have liked before the BS, champions of life comments, confirmed coward. Could redeem himself if he, didn't do it. Man, I don't know. I'm just frankly do not know where to go from here. I know that's not good content because I wish I had an answer. So I'm just going to settle with just chuck a bunch of money at Dave Aranda and hope for the best. And hope nobody pulls up my comments about how I think you'd be a horrible head coach.
Yeah, I'm not in love with Aranda, but the problem is I'm not going to be in love with any head coach, and I feel like a lot of OU fans, as they look through this, are going to have trouble coming to a name like you do, because we're trying to find a coach that is going to be highly prestigious and can keep us in this same kind of level that we've been as of recently. And in all honesty, we got to throw that away and realize that it's extremely unrealistic, that we're going to have to know we're taking a step down. So your expectations are going to have to go down for a little bit. I understand whenever someone's looking, for example, you're looking for a nice girlfriend, and you have very high expectations. You can just stay out of a relationship for a bit if no one meets your expectations, but you can't go into the college football season single. It doesn't work like that. So you got to settle for somebody. So as the clock ticks and you're at the bar, and right now we can't take it to 2 a.m., we probably should get going, get our foot to the ground, and look across at what we got right now and make a decision.
This is a long parable here, Jameson.
I mean, it's not relatable, but I'm just saying, mine was crystal ball. Obviously, I don't think that can happen. I'm just looking for, coaches that are highly regarded within college football, but are in contracts or in jobs that could be pried away and would be an upgrade. Okay. Horrible analogy. Okay. That's fine. Whatever. I was just saying you can't be single next season. So
he's just tried his best.
You can't have high expectations and just say, if I don't get my expectations met, I'm not going to settle. You're going to have to settle is what I'm trying to get.
I won't be pissed if it's Mark Stoops. I think he's done a good job at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be pissed.
I could highly see that one. But moving on, I think we need to hit in, since we're kind of going on close to an hour now, as we usually do, let's hit into kind of recruiting. This Cruton Corner if you even want to hit the Borat, you can. Do you want to hit the Borat?
I wish I had a slowed down version of it so it didn't sound as exciting.
David.
Yes?
What is this, David?
This is a
Fruit in Corner with Jamison.
Everybody dancing now.
Oh, that's nice.
It is
So,
not nice. It is
no,
not nice.
we need to find a new Cruton corner that's just sad. We need to? I'll find a nice Borat clip and I'll send you something and we can dub it over. Trust me, I've got many things coming through my head.
I
Right
know
now.
you do.
But so I thought this Cruton corner, it's going to be a little bit longer, like we said, and we're just going to go through the 2022 commits and the 2023 commits, talk about them right now, and see if we have any chance of keeping them or if we're going to lose them. And by the time this releases, we might have already lost some, and I wouldn't be surprised. So the top recruit in 2022, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy out of Florida, a guy who is a stand-up guy, son of a preacher, very devoted, very strong character guy, and I guarantee you he related to Lincoln a lot. Like Lincoln was a huge part in him making a decision coming to OU. Even though he was an OU legacy, I would take a strong look at him as a guy, would look to make the move to Texas A&M because that's where he was down to in his top two, and his parents are down there in Texas A&M. So I know that I wouldn't want to go into a situation as a 5-star defensive lineman where I have to rebuild the whole staff whenever I have Texas A&M and my family in the same area behind them. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him decommit. I'm doing all of this on speculation. I don't have any inside knowledge. I have not read any posts talking about these down. I'm just getting my reads off of each situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Raleek Brown is next, and that is guaranteed. Guaranteed. We've already talked about that. I'll hit it again. He has a kid. It's in Southern California where he's from. He went to Mater Dei, and he will stay there for his kid because he was strongly considering flipping to USC because of his kid. Lincoln Riley kept him in the boat. Now he's already tweeting about it. He's going to flip. Gentry Williams next on the board in 2022. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Defensive back, but guess who his top two was and who he's deciding in the end? Guess who the other school was, Bobby?
I'm going to go ahead and say Cal.
It was Southern Cal. You're
right.
Shoot,
yeah. I was so close.
You were so close. But yeah, he was considering Southern Cal. And Lincoln going over there, he already really liked the area. He decided he wanted to stay in Oklahoma because he's, big in social justice and making Oklahoma a better place. But if he was already considering Southern Cal beforehand, that is another name to very strongly look at. So that's our top 3 commits in the 2022 class. Let's move down the line a little bit more. Near, high-end 4-star Gavin Sawchuk of Colorado. That's an offensive commit. You would hope maybe he would want to stay. I don't know too much about his relationship, but he does have a strong one with Lincoln Riley. But that's, I don't feel as strong on him just because of the whole storyline with him because he's been very strong to OU throughout his recruitment. There's not a lot of question marks of him going elsewhere. But that's definitely a name to look into moving forward. Going down the line a little bit more, we'll go a little bit quicker as the names get bigger or smaller. Derek Moore, defensive end out of Baltimore. I bet you he would want to stay in the class unless he can get a guarantee if Jamar Cain staying there or not, or is Calvin Thibodeau staying. If we're going to have a new coaching, if we're just going to completely scrap everybody, wouldn't be surprised if he decommits if we do not give him any interest of what we're doing for coaching. Kobe McKenzie, middle linebacker out of Lubbock, his dad is like on OU boards, is a big time, like very prideful OU guy. You would think he was from Oklahoma the way he carries himself, but they're really, really close to Lincoln, man. I would like to think it's kind of like is he closer to Oklahoma itself and the relationship that he's developed during his early commitment. He was one of the first commitments in this class. It's a bigger question. I'm going to be very curious to see, do these recruits feel closer to the school or do they feel closer to Lincoln?
True. No, I agree. And so one thing we haven't talked about, by the way, assistant coaches, who follows Lincoln, who doesn't. There's a strong
Jamar Cain's got to go.
Strong sentiment, strong rumor that Dennis Simmons is joining Lincoln. So.
Oh, well, yeah, Dennis Simmons, him very close. If he can get Jamar Cain to go with him, he knows Jamar Cain's a good one.
Malcolm Kelly, come on down to Norman.
I would not be surprised if we just gutted our whole coaching staff because, to be completely honest with you, I think the appeal of giving a new coach, like a head coach of Oklahoma, the reins of you can pick whoever you want, is very, it's appealing. Coming in where Grinch is already here and he already has all that stuff, maybe the guy might not like Grinch, so he maybe wouldn't want to come to OU as much.
Just total reset. Honestly,
Yeah.
Other than Cale Gundy being the wide receivers coach, that is like he will never move further up. He will never leave. He will just coach do his own little thing. He's running backs coach. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He switched around, but other than that, those are the big 2022 recruits. I'll just kind of hit on some guys that I feel pretty confident that will leave probably. Nick Anderson, wide receiver. He just committed not too long ago, and he put out a pissed off face on Twitter, so he doesn't seem to be happy. And then, you'd hope you'd keep a couple of the Oklahoma guys like Robert Spears Jennings and a guy like Jacob Sexton as well. But, Jacob Sexton is also a Texas fan growing up, even though he's from Oklahoma. So you never know there. All in all, I don't know what's going to come from this class. I'm actually really worried. We only have 17 commits right now. That this could be like an absolute explosion of decommits, and we could be hitting the transfer portal super, super hard, and it's going to be a ragtag squad for the next couple of years. Let's just move into 2023 and kind of cut this because it's kind of going long and there's a lot to talk about, but I really want to hit out these names of who we have right now, and that's Malachi Nelson, Kai Lemon, DeAndre Moore, and then we also have already lost Trayon Webb, and we've already lost Brandon Ennis. All those guys I listed are, 5 stars on other sites. Pretty much all 5 stars. All of those guys that I said out loud are gone. The only guy that we'd even think about keeping is the near 5-star tight end commit, 47th player in the nation of Luke Hawes from Bixby. But this is 2023, Bobby. They got plenty of time to make decisions. And with Lincoln getting out, I wouldn't be surprised if all of them decommit and just kind of reopen the recruitment and see where we go from there.
I mean, yeah. Look, if you're a high school kid, reset. Yeah. What are you doing? Don't commit yourself to a dumb logo. Figure out where you want to be and go there. Unless you actually genuinely like Norman, then please stay. It would be great. It would be great to have you. This was a tough podcast. One I don't think
it was very tough.
It's one I don't think we expected to have this recent, or I don't know, maybe at all. I thought at least we'd be talking about an NFL move, but the future is rocky. And like I tweeted out today, I said I don't know what we're going to talk about all off season. We got hit with the monkey's paw, folks. We have a lot to talk about this offseason. I was telling you that on the drive home from Bedlam, which we still haven't talked about yet. Will we ever? I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
How do you recap a football game after what just happened?
I think we have to talk about it tomorrow night. Give it its due diligence, and by the time tomorrow comes along, there will be more Lincoln Riley talk, and y'all are going to still want to listen to that too. Just because this is one of the most, talkable times in OU's recent history. So there's so much content here. So we're just going to pan it out and give you 2 podcasts in 2 days. If you're down for that, Bobby, I'm down.
Yeah, no, the people need the talk. Never been through a coaching search. I was 3, 4 the last time it happened. So here we go. All gas, no brakes. Let's see who we get.
Oh no.
Okay,
we're not Texas now.
No, we're not Texas now. Not yet, anyways. So I'm just gonna wrap this up with what Joe Castiglione said in his statement. OU football is bigger than any one person, and it will always just as it always has been. Oklahoma football is positioned for greatness. Maybe not right now. Maybe in 2-3 years, whenever we get someone in. But hey, I believe him. Either way, I know we both bleed crimson and cream, and we'll be with the team and giving you this lukewarm, subpar OU football coverage the best we can at a weekly rate for free, basically, unless you like DraftKings, in which case please use promo code TPPN.
There it is.
Hey, we had to do it. So, anyways, for me and Jameson, this has been the Schooner Pod Emergency Special. No, we will have a lot more for y'all. So stay tuned. And I don't even know what to say. I guess Boomer Sooner. Here's what we say. Yeah, we need to do the Fedora memo in solidarity with our guy Joe C.
I can't pull it off like that guy, but I'll wear something. No, that's Ty. Ty's got a great fedora. He'll show y'all tomorrow.
Does Ty have a fedora? I'm sure he has so many hats. Surely he has a fedora.
I'm sure we can find one.
Surely Ty has a fedora somewhere. So, all right, y'all, just have a good night. Don't think about football for a while, please. I know I'm not.
That's not going to happen. Stop promising these people these things. We're going to think about it when we go to sleep. Yeah, and I hate that we just already signed off, but it's going to be tonight. Everyone's going to be that meme of the guy sitting over, like on the other side of the pillow, and the girl's like, he's probably thinking about other girls. And in actuality, he's like, what is OU going to be doing in 2024 whenever they're in the heat of SEC? And like, are we going to even be a competent team? We're going to turn into Nebraska. It's going to be miserable. That's legitimately what it is. But sign us off. We're just before we go.
Are we going to beat Vanderbilt in 2024? The world may never know.
But that was the Schooner Pod.
But we will be there to podcast about it. Y'all have a good night. Boomer Sooner forever, as always. Whatever.
Just end it, please.
Lincoln, you suck.